Hey, what's up, fellas? I'm Luscious Female Fan Steve Alicious here, back with the Moto G Stylus 5G after about just under 2 weeks of use. On my video for the 48-hour review, the first impressions, a gentleman asked, or was basically saying, he wished it would have had 90 hertz refresh rate, NFC, stereo speakers. We'll get to the speaker on this device in just a few moments. But I initially agreed. I didn't respond to you. I am going to respond to you, but I was thinking about it. And I wished initially that this had a couple of those premier features that a lot of 2021 smartphones have. But then I started thinking about this phone like this. It's like one of those things, those ridiculous things on Facebook where it's basically you have $10 to build your dream something or other. And if you're building a smartphone, it'd be $3 for RAM or $3 for the screen or $4 for the processor. And when you start using this device, I think that Moto spent their $10 wisely, and I think you'll be spending your $400 wisely by picking one of these up. We'll talk about it today on this edition of Steve Alicious Tech. And we're back as always. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers. We're ripping right through 4,100 as of the taping of this video. If you're loving the tech, both new and old, go ahead and give that subscribe button a tussle. It certainly means a lot to me. So the Moto G Stylus 5G. At first, like I said, I was confused by this device. Coming from the one from last year, I had expectations on what it could provide at a certain price point. But once I got that out of my head and just started using the thing, I'll tell you right now, if your budget is $400, go out and buy this. Link will be in the description. You're going to have no problems whatsoever. We'll talk about why. But this is the perfect phone as an example of why specs don't matter. This is something that it's not going to excite everybody. If you tell people the phone that you have and the features that it has, it's not going to wow anybody. Everyone's not going to ogle over your device and all that stuff. But this is a device that comes with its hard hat and lunch pail and comes to work every day. It's not going to excite you, but boy, is it going to get the job done, and it's going to get the job done well. And I give hats off to Motorola, for really coming out with these devices that are well supported, well built, featured right, dare I say even priced right for this one. We'll talk about that in a moment. With a feature set that you absolutely love, lightly skinned, good updates, just an overall solid device. If you've used one, and just like last year's, the original Moto G Stylus, if you use this one, you're going to get that same impression. It certainly is one that grows on you. So let's talk about that price point. $400. I know at first it may have seemed a touch expensive. The thing is that 5G, whether we like it or not, does add a certain price to these phones. The 5G modems are expensive still. To future-proof yourself and have 5G in a device, I think might be worth it, especially you're going to be keeping it 2, 3, 4 years. This is one that's going to be supported at least for 3 years, I think. So you're right in that ballpark where you're going to want 3G on a device. And if you could get it at this price point, I think you're doing okay, especially a device as solid as this. Snapdragon 480. This is what I was talking about, where the specs can be a little, where you start getting into Geekbench, like the last video. I was talking about the Geekbench scores. And it is better than the 665 from last year, but that doesn't tell the story. Better is one thing. When you use it, the 665 was excellent on a budget device. Great performance for a budget device. But this gap between the 665 performance on the Moto G Stylus from 2020 and this one that has the 480 is the gap between upper budget tier. Now we're talking lower, kind of, not flagship, but upper mid-tier type performance in a device. And I don't think that comes across clearly on the benchmarks. A lot of that's going to be the 6 gigs of RAM. You're going to find out in years how optimization, software optimization at 6 gigs of RAM plays a gigantic part in how these phones run. That's a huge leap, as well as the storage, which is great. You're bumping up to 256 this year, but that jump from 4 gigs of RAM to 6 gigs of RAM is huge, and you notice it all throughout the operating system. So let's go ahead and highlight some of the features of this guy. The design I like, okay? You're not looking dated at all. Looks 2021. I understand plastic, but it's got that nice kind of shimmer gradient with the emerald color, which I think looks very, very nice. It matches. It goes well with my eyes. So and we also have the the camera. The only thing they got rid of, they added a depth sensor and they got rid of the laser autofocus, which is, I always really love the laser autofocus, but this worked just fine. You're going to see when I put up some of the photos, really great portrait effect as well. So the build quality is good, solid, even though it's plastic all around. I like the big flat display, 6.8 inches on that one. Fantastic as well. 1080p, which is great. I don't think you're skimping at all there. And that's where, as we start filling in these specs and things they do, you'll see when I was talking about that $10. Not any of the flashy stuff. You're not getting 90 hertz. You're not getting 120 hertz. You're not getting wireless and all the rest of it. But the boxes that they had to check, they got. So screen, 1080p. Last year's display was excellent. This one as well, no exception. You can see it was Jean's 15th birthday, so you could see her. We'll go ahead and get the stuff off of there, but you can see her dressed for her 15th birthday. So everyone say hello to Jean. But overall, smooth experience in the operating system. You'll instantly, when you pick it up, notice it's that much snappier than last year's Moto G Stylus 2020. I'm going to get them confused. I might just call it the Moto G Stylus 1 or something along those lines. Let's talk about the pen. It's not... I've said this before in videos with pen phones. Don't go in thinking this is going to be any sort of milliseconds, okay? It's not like when you're dealing with the Note series when you're talking in milliseconds. In fact, we'll display that right now as I go. See how there was that gap? But you know what? Who cares? This will do 95% of what you use a pen for as the Galaxy Note series. So don't worry about that. And they've made a lot of great improvements to the pen in the design. A little bit longer this year, which is fine, which helps it more space in the phone to place it. But the silo, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite phrases to talk about when we're talking about these pen phones, is changed. So it's spring-loaded this year, which is quite nice. And it's not the last year's model, you kind of had to tab it out and put it back in. This one, any orientation works. It's just completely round. You go ahead, spring-loaded, and it's nice. So you see headphone jack. We'll get to that in a second as well. But overall, pen experience is great. You're going to love it. If you love pen phones, if you're missing the Note and you want a new device with 5G, this is going to be one of your better options for that by far. Camera. I always thought best in class for the price, and I don't think I'm disappointed this year. We're going to go ahead and put up some pictures right now. You're going to see the color point stuff, which is, the color point stuff is great because it's right in the viewfinder, real time. So you know what image you're getting before it's processed, which is fantastic. You're going to see it takes a great cat photo, just vibrant colors. These outdoor photos, these were bright shots as well on that. Look at this portrait mode photo of the grill. Really sharp. What a really high quality flagship tier portrait photo. I was really impressed by that in this Moto device for $400. Operating system, lightly skinned and smooth. You get the Moto gestures, which everyone's come to love. It's great because they keep the updates. Everyone's going to complain about the updates this year. Nobody had good updates this year. Android 11 was just a general problem across the board. Nobody was able to keep up with it. But they do support it for quite a while. It is lightly skinned. And unlike some of the other lightly skinned Android devices, you get the Google Call features. So you get call screening with this, which is quite nice, and some of those other things. You could hit the message and it replies to, so it talks to the computer, it talks to the spammer or whatever happens to be, and then adds yourself to the do not call list. So that's nice. Those are nice features to have, especially at this price point in this nice, attractive package. Oh, just getting back to the pen real quick, just like the last year's version, it does have the GPS thing, which I think is quite cool. If you go ahead and take out the pen, and let's say you walk away and you're like, oh man, I forgot my pen. The phone remembers your GPS location of the last time you took the pen out. So you could go back and at least have an idea, starting point of where you're hunting around for your pen. So I think that's really cool. Video features, they have the camera thing that's just, you could do front and back. So if you're a vlogger, you can have the front camera going at the same time as the forward camera. So you could do different content with that. So that's good. The thing that I wanted to talk about with this, and this is another reason why, they spent their $10 well. We're talking 8 to 9. I got 8 hours safely of battery time. Okay? No problems whatsoever. And you're going to get, if you do some battery saving features, if you don't run the screen at full brightness, you could get 9 hours, 10 hours. The battery champion, and not a 10 hours that you would want to use. 10 hours of good performance that you'd actually want to have, which I think is fantastic. The best battery performer in class by far. You are sacrificing some things, like I said, wireless charging, all the rest. Speaker's not good. It's easy to block it, and you don't hear anything. So the speaker is not good. But you do have a headphone jack, and you do have the Bluetooth, so you can help out with that. Gameplay on stuff is good. I'm not going to show up, but Genshin Impact was okay, even though it's a fairly demanding game. You were able to run it smoothly enough. And that game is always contacting the server, so there are some hiccups there, but it ran just fine. But gaming, overall, Pokemon Go, stuff like that, was fine. No problems whatsoever. For me, for your $400, you could do a heck of a lot worse. This is a solid device, a well-engineered device, a well-supported device. Moto pounds them out. Like I said, it's not fancy, but it's a workhorse. And if you need something for $400 and you're okay with that price point, you're going to get a solid phone that's going to serve you well. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.